From all the way back in 1993, we have a Konami-developed beat-em-up coming from the tail end of their golden age that's a great representation of the movie in which it's based on. This is Batman Returns for the Super Nintendo. As mentioned before, the game represents the movie pretty well. The cutscenes are atmospheric, retelling the story in a condensed and streamlined manner. Batman Returns brings Tim Burton's art style to console like no other version of the game could. The other versions I know about are the Genesis platformer that was considered below average, the Sega CD port that was mostly driving stages but was pretty great despite that, and the R-Zone, which is better off not talked about in too great a detail. Batman Returns is often compared to Final Fight, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite beat-em-ups ever. I even have the arcade 1-up cabinet that I scored for $50 on clearance a few years ago. I believe Batman Returns is a better-looking game than Final Fight, if you can believe that. I'll get into more detail about the visuals later. The game starts off with some story to set the stage. It's Christmastime and Max Schreck, the biggest businessman in all of Gotham City, teams up with the Penguin to plant the seeds of doubt and discourse against the mayor so they can elect the Penguin and burn Gotham City down from the inside, with a little bit of help from Catwoman. Since Batman knows all the crimes being committed due to his surveillance system that poses questions about its legality, he springs into action to thwart Schreck and Penguin's attempts to destroy the city. The game has 7 levels with 3 continues to complete them. There are your standard difficulties with an adjustable amount of lives you can choose in the options menu. Believe me, the first time you play this, you're going to need the extra lives. All the levels are fighting stages except for level 5, which sees you in the Batmobile shooting down Penguin's goons on motorcycles. I really enjoyed this stage, but my thumb got tired halfway through due to rapid button mashing, so I had to switch to my pointer finger to finish the stage. Other than that, it was a lot of fun. Visually, Batman Returns is gorgeous with gothic flair. Konami knew the assignment with their crisp and detailed sprites. Somehow, they found a way to make Gotham City look somewhat colorful, yet juxtaposed with Burton's dark style. The result is a city that looks just as cold as the season it portrays. It's almost like society is always on the verge of destruction, like it very well could be if not for the Caped Crusader. Batman himself has perhaps his best sprite work in this game. Some levels have destructible environments as well, like in level 1 where you can smash bad guys into department store windows by grappling them. It adds another layer of immersion to what feels like a living, breathing Gotham City. The music in Batman Returns is crisp and of high quality, making good use of the SNES sound chip to make it sound like an actual orchestra is doing the score. Matching the orchestral soundtrack with its stunning background sprite work adds yet another coat of glaze on an already cinematic experience. The back of the box states the game uses CD quality music, which almost sounds like it could be true, but not quite. Now is when the gleam starts to dull a little bit for me. Batman punches and attacks inhumanly fast, which is great for combat, but like you would expect for a man wearing a heavy suit, he walks as slow as a tank. With how many enemies appear on screen at once, some with ranged weapons, you will take more unnecessary hits than you'd imagine. On level 2, for example, you have the fire jugglers on stilts, whom you cannot attack. I kept jumping and attacking, trying to hurt them. You'd imagine punching their stilts would allow them to fall, but alas, that does nothing. They have to be walked past with proper timing or taken down using the batarang. Speaking of the batarang, this weapon is the key to getting through the game. When you fight normal goons, the batarang briefly stuns them, which gives you time to walk over to them so you can take them out without sustaining any damage. If you use the select button, you can equip your grappling gun. It's used to cross gaps that seem impossible to jump over, like in the burning hallway in level 2. You can use it against some bosses, which comes in handy big time. Enemies cannot hit you when you use the grappling gun. However, every time you use it to attack, it takes life from your health bar. It's a powerful move, so there's risk and reward when using it. I figured some of this out with a little trial and error, while also consulting long plays for tips and tricks that aren't as obvious as they should be. The difficulty is sort of twofold. Either you learn the controls, or you go in blind. In the modern day, you'll either play the cartridge or you'll emulate it. The game assumes it's 1993 and you have the manual to look up the control scheme. I guess the options menu shows what the controls are, but using the grappling gun to stay in the air is something the controls overview does not convey in the game quite well. I played on easy and thought it was tough until I watched a video showing how the game is supposed to be played. When I returned to play the game for footage a second time, I did much better. So going in blind will make the game unnecessarily harder than it should be, but knowing all the necessary controls makes a huge difference. For all the cheap damage you receive, the game gives you a generous helping of health pickups to help push the scales back in your favor. It gets better and better the more you play and figure things out. One more thing I'd like to mention concerning the combat and the difficulty that irritates me a little bit are the boss battles. When you get to the end level boss, they have a health bar like you, except theirs starts off green, almost as if they have a shield, and the bar does not go down while it's green. Only after an undisclosed amount of damage does their health actually turn orange and the damage you deal registers. Each boss fight has me worried if I'm doing what the game wants me to do. Am I doing the right attack? How much longer does this fight go on for? Stuff like that. I've seen that done in some other games, very few to be honest, but that bugs me when I do see that in games with boss fights. Batman Returns is what the movie would look like if it were playable on the Super Nintendo. It plays very well too. I can easily say it's one of the best beat-em-ups on the Super Nintendo once you give it a chance. Although there are times you have to take hits and it seems like there's nothing else you can do about it, there are plenty of pickups to negate the damage. Batman is slow, but feels powerful. It may not be a perfect game, or as good as some of Konami's other beat-em-ups, but it's one heck of a game when you give it a chance and learn it the way it wants you to. The more I play this one, the more I look back on Konami's legacy and wish they still made games of this genre and caliber. If you like the movie, you like beat-em-ups, or you're just a die-hard fan of The Dark Knight, you owe it to yourself to give this one a go.